Halloweenies, I'm Ozzy the Horror Cub. Take a trip with me to Southport, North Carolina because I know what you did last summer. Happy July 4th, Halloweenies. Today, our movie review is going to be about I Know What You Did Last Summer, premiering in 1997 with script written by Kevin Williamson. Everyone thinks that this movie was just a ripoff of Scream, but truth be told, the only reason why these two movies feel similar is because they had the exact same writer. Kevin Williamson was just hot off the success of Scream, which premiered in 1996. The script sold in 1995. Now, he had written the script already for I Know What You Did Last Summer prior to. Scream had become the incredible mega massive hit and ushered in a brand new wave for the slasher genre. Heroes of imitations were going to try and come out of it. You had Urban Legend, you had Valentine, and now you had I Know What You Did Last Summer. This movie has a great cast. You're going to get Ryan Phillippe, Freddie Prinze Jr., Sarah Michelle Gellar right at the exact same time as she was doing the first season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Jennifer Love Hewitt, who would go on to become a Scream Queen of the 90s, and then later to go on to that Boy Meets World fabulous Scream parody episode, Jennifer Love Pfefferman. You can call her Pfeffy for short. Set in 1996, this movie follows our four college graduates as they try to celebrate July the 4th. Film then introduces us to our characters. You've got Helen, who's being the beauty pageant. You've got Julie, played by Jennifer Love Hewitt, who's going to be our final girl. She's very reserved. She wears a lot of sweaters in this movie. Let me tell you something. It's summer in North Carolina, and you're out here in elongated skirts and pants and sweaters. I can't get over it, and her fashion sense kills me in this film. They're always elongated sweaters that look like they're always just hanging off her skinny little arms. Jennifer, darling, it's summer. I know you're depressed and I know you just killed the guy, but I still think you could have dressed a little bit better. Ryan Phillippe is playing Helen's boyfriend. He is such a douche. His name is Barry. He's one of the typical rich kids that lives in town. Rounding off their friends is Freddie Prinze Jr. and he's playing Ray, and he's Julie's boyfriend. Now, there's something fishy about his acting in this movie, and I can't really put my finger on it. Sometimes I just think Freddie Prinze Jr. is just being Freddie Prinze Jr. There's an aloofness quality, but I can't help but think that Kevin Williamson was trying to write his character as a red herring to really throw us off the scent of what was going on. Also, when you look at Kevin Williamson's scripts, do you ever really trust the boyfriend? I mean, look at Scream and how he portrayed Billy Loomis. Even going into Scream 2, when looking at her new boyfriend, Cindy still questions him. Always a distrust with the boyfriends in Kevin Williamson's script. The gang heads for a summer bonfire on the beach, and at this point, they're gonna start regaling each other with urban legends of a Hook figure. This is what I love about this film. It does have that Scream meta angle because they're deconstructing the idea of urban legends. This isn't as successfully done as it is in the 1998 film Urban Legend. However, it's a great take on the Hookman story because as this film progresses, you're going to notice that these four kids are being stalked by a fisherman in a slick. And this fisherman wants revenge for what happens that evening because as they leave, Ryan Phillippe's character Barry is just so hammered he can't drive his car back, so Ray takes over and he starts driving. Music starts getting played too aggressively loud, and that's when they hit somebody. He's wearing a fisherman outfit and his face is barely visible. It's just covered in blood. They have to come up with an idea of what to do quick. Do they turn to the police like what Julie wants to do? Or do they follow Barry's lead and hide the body and never talk about this again? Let's take some persuading, but the group does end up at the marina. They toss the body in, not before he can take one final grab at Helen's crown. With that, Barry descends into the water after it. We do see that the person that they've killed, and we don't know who this person is at this current time, we just know that they've hit somebody with the car, there's alcohol everywhere, they don't want to get blamed for it, they don't want to go to jail and be convicted of manslaughter. They do the obvious thing and they try to throw his body into the marina, and hopefully it'll get washed away into the ocean or eaten by fish, and nobody will discover him ever again. However, when he grabs Helen's crown, we do realize, oh shit, this guy's still alive. So they didn't even successfully kill him correctly. The film then jumps to a year later. Everybody has sworn never to talk about this incident again, and these people are barely even speaking to each other. They're not even friends at this point. This is where we start catching back up with our characters, coming up to the July 4th weekend. Julie's coming back from school. She's failing everything miserably. This is when she starts wearing all those heavy fabrics, and it's like, ooh, girl, it's hot up in here in North Carolina. You might want to rethink that outfit. Mom is very concerned because she's failing all of her classes, and now Julie's starting to receive a mysterious note. I know what you did last summer. Who wrote this note, and how does he know what they did last summer? Julie starts to embark upon finding out this mystery. It leads us to catching up with all of the characters from the first 15 minutes. minutes. Helen was supposed to move away to New York and start her new life. However, now she's stuck working at her dad's store with her sister. And her sister Elsa is a complete and utter biatch. You know what? She gets what she deserves later on in the film. Barry's also back home. Freddie Prinze Jr.'s character Ray is working as a fisherman. How suspicious. Now for anyone that's trying to follow this film, it does have a really confusing ending, and that's because the movie opens with David Egan overlooking a beachside. He's been drinking and looking down at the rocks, and it's like, is this guy gonna commit suicide? Is this the guy that Julie and her friends hit that night on July 4th? We don't know. There's a lot of supernatural incidents that just keep occurring that make it seem like this fisherman is supernatural, that this fisherman is the guy that they hit a year ago. And Julie discovered that 3 weeks after that they dumped his body into the ocean, that a man did wash up on shore, and his name was David Egan, and he did have a sister who was still living in that town. Later on in the film, Helen and Julie go to visit the sister, and shenanigans start to ensue throughout the film because Helen's getting her hair played with, Julie breaks into her house and chops off all of her hair, and it's kind of silly because all this character does care about is the vanity of being the popular girl, which is really playing up against Sarah Michelle Gellar's typecast because, you know, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, she's this resourceful, independent fighter. For in this film, it's complete vanity. It's complete, I was a beauty queen, I need to keep my title, everything was so good in high school, how come things aren't working out for me now? I should have been in New York. Julie's getting left bodies in her trunk, and if you look closely, you'll know that this actor was from The Big Bang Theory. Julie's getting crabs. Ryan Phillippe's character is getting almost run over by the fisherman. The fisherman has so many chances to kill these kids whenever he wants, but he's waiting till July the 4th. The only person that really doesn't get a takedown is Ray. He just gets a note, which makes everything so much more suspicious because Ryan Phillippe's character gets placed into the hospital for dealing with the fisherman. Sarah Michelle Gellar's hair is all chopped off almost, and Julie is getting crabs in her trunk, followed by a body, and this body is a red herring. However, Ray, all he's getting is a note, and this makes us question, is Ray the fisherman? Is Ray involved in all of this? Is he trying to pay back his friends for what they did a year ago? It's actually when Julie discovers the crabs that she says the most iconic line in the entire film. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? She literally just throws her hands up in the middle of a street. Her two best friends are just sitting on the side, and she just starts chaotically in a circle. What are you waiting for? I live. My favorite thing in the world is actually the fact that they mock this in Scary Movie, and there's a teacher about to commit suicide. I know, this is terrible. As I'm saying it out loud, this is honestly terrible. But there's a scene, I'm not even gonna say what it is, there's a scene in Scary Movie that mimics it, and it's just hysterical. What are you waiting for? What am I waiting for? Now, as the characters are undergoing the investigation of who the fisherman could be, they start to learn new things from Missy. Now, Missy is the sister of David Egan. She's giving me creepy loner vibes, but you know what? This is another red herring that Kevin Williamson is throwing in because could she be the fisherman? Because did they kill her brother? Missy lets us discover that David actually had a fiancée, Susie, and Susie was killed a year previously due to a drunk driving incident, which was caused by David Egan. One thing that does come up is that Susie's father did write a threatening letter to David. If you're having a hard time keeping up with all of these shenanigans, don't worry. I think it's taken me about 15 years to really uncover the plot of this movie. Maybe it was just because of my childhood comprehending of it. I could not understand who the killer was and how he was tied into all these shenanigans, but it does come out later on in the movie. So characters are taken out, eliminated. You've got the guy from The Big Bang Theory, he's taken out. And you know what? It's like, why was he even being picked on? He didn't even have anything to do with anything. You know what? Screw it. He's dead. He's in the crabs. Barry, Ryan Phillippe's character, is taken out later on in the film as Helen is forced to watch at the beauty pageant. And some of the best scenes like that are spoofed in Scary Movie, which I just absolutely adore. And not a lot of great kills are happening at this point. A lot of the R rating is not coming from the graphics that are being displayed on our film because this is not really a splatter film. This really could have been a lot more bloodier. I mean, you've got a killer using a hook for a hand. So if he's slicing you up and dicing you up, I want to see some blood splatter. And I heard some of the effects were actually used in post-production because they were like, okay, well, he hit her with a hook, so a splash should come out of blood. The best chase scene has to be Sarah Michelle Gellar's death. As she's running from the fisherman, this takes her literally from an alleyway into her father's store. This is where Elsa gets it from the fisherman, and he starts to stalk Helen. This is a really good chase scene. This is really well done. There's a lot of great suspense in this moment. I just wish they could have used that suspense and moved it throughout the entire film. other than this one chase scene. Because, you know, there's moments of it that's just great because she's running away from him. She's really thinking that, wow, I made it, I survived. I can see the road, I can see the parade, I'm within safety. And she's in like this tire field, like there's tires in this alleyway. I've never seen so many tires in an alleyway before, but let me tell you, the killer just pops out and guts her like a fish. Now she's been taken off the table. All we've got left is Julie and Ray. Julie's now starting to put more of the pieces of the puzzle together, and she's starting to realize that they didn't kill David Egan. That David Egan was pushed off the cliff by Susie's father seeking revenge, and his name is Ben Willis. This all takes us to the finale that occurs on a boat because Julie thinks that Ray's still the killer. Ray is starting to follow Julie onto the dock. Julie runs for safety, and Ben is like, oh yeah, get up on my ship. And she's like, okay. So she gets up on the ship, shenanigans ensue, we realize that Ben was the real killer, that his daughter was Susie, that he was seeking justice for Susie's death, that he killed David Egan that night, the same night that they were driving on the road. The person that they really hit wasn't David Egan, the person that they really hit was Ben Willis. Did you catch up with all of that? Okay, so they really hit Ben Willis, but he wasn't dead because obviously his eyes were open when he grabbed Helen's crown when they threw him into the marina. Make sure somebody's dead when you go to kill them. Which is good advice, and she should have learned that for the sequel because literally, they do not even try to kill this guy again. It's luck, it's sheer dumb luck. His hand just gets caught in one of the boat ropes. I don't even know, boats and hose, I'm just gonna call them boat ropes. His hand gets stuck in one of the boat ropes. Ray flips the switch. He goes catapulting into the air and into the water. So like the only thing that actually happens to Ben Willis is like, girl, you lost a hand. Okay, BFD. So like they did not even kill this guy, which leads us to the end of the movie where Julie is in her college and she's talking to Ray and she's in her towel, and like I love a good towel, and she sees a message that says, I still know, which leads us to the sequel, I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, which is a Caribbean adventure, which I absolutely love. This movie, after so many years of being released, I mean this came out in 1997, I'm looking at it through a lens of it's 2021. I've already seen all the spoof films that have parodied this movie, you know, Shriek If I Know What You Did Last Friday the 13th, or Scary Movie. So this movie has been spoofed so many different times. It's really cliche because this movie, it's not really trying to reinvent the slasher genre like what Scream was trying to do. All this movie is just trying to take the slasher genre and just keep propelling it. Like, let's take the success of what worked in Scream and just keep going with it. Throw in a little good meta nods for good measure, but just keep going, copy the success of Scream and go with it. What makes Scream so successful that I don't think anybody really understands, it's Wes Craven. Wes Craven knows how to direct good horror movies, and that's why this film, I think, at the end of the day, doesn't live up to the hype. Maybe when it was first released, people were like, yeah, this is a great film. I'm looking at it through a lens of, these movies are the reason why the slasher genre died for its second time, because all the studios were really just trying to do was milk Scream to death. This movie would go on to spawn 2 sequels, I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, which I still think is a fun ride, and I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer, which we do not even talk about, that straight to DVD garbage. This film, if you're just watching it for a good time, you're gonna love it. It's a movie set on the 4th of July. Jennifer Love Hewitt is gonna scream her brains out. If you're into her wearing a sweater and showing a lot of cleavage, then girl, you're gonna love this movie. I'm gonna give this movie 4 Jennifer Cleavage boobs, because I just think that's what it deserves. I don't know what that means as a gay male, but hey, that's my rating system and I stand by it. 4 boobs out of 5? I don't know. How many boobs tier rating this is? I think it should go in 2, so I think this should be rated out of 6. This gets 4 boobs. For me at least. Why is there so much cleavage? Really gotta follow this movie. This isn't a movie where you can just run off to the bathroom, pause it. I do recommend pausing it or else the ending isn't gonna make any sense. Okay guys? All the time that we have left for today, but smash that subscribe notification bell to be notified about all of our upcoming videos. Don't forget to check out our Halloween Kills breakdown and also our Halloween Kills trailer reaction. Until next time, stay spooky.